We are beginning. We're holding Daf Yid Zayin. Today's Daf is Daf Yid Ches, and we're holding from Yid Zayin Omud Beis. Okay, Yid Zayin Umud Shani. About 12 lines from the bottom. 12 lines from the bottom. Kol HaKosav b'Megillas Taanis. So in the Mishnah it says, if you remember, that there's a book called Megillas Taanis, and this was this is before the Gemara was written, before the Talmud, Bavli, Yerushalmi. This is the first thing that they ever wrote down from Torah Shebal Peh. What's in this Megillas Taanis? Basically, it's divided into 12 chapters and tells you the Yom Tovim that they made Yom Tovim during the second bias. Each month had their own Yom Tiv, and those are special days that some of them you don't fast, and some of them are more of a holiday that you don't even make a hesped. Somebody dies that day, you don't make a hesped. And that's the book. It was the book of the calendar, so to speak. And that's called Megillas Taanis. From Megillas Taanis, the only holidays that really survived is the holiday of Purim and the holiday of Hanukkah. So, but the Mishnah says, Kol HaKosav b'Megillas Taanis. The Mishnah said, any holiday that's written in the Megillas Taanis, the loy lemisped, that's a strong holiday that you can't make a hesped. Lefon of Aser. But the day before the holiday, you're not allowed to have not only the day before, you're not allowed to have a hesped or fast, but la'achrav, the day after the holiday, mutter, it's permitted. So according to what's written here, let's say for Hanukkah, the day before Hanukkah, you would not be permitted to have a fast that day. Anyway, that's what it says in the Mishnah. Tana Rabbana, the Brisa goes and elaborates the Megillas Taanis. I think in the back of your Masechta Taanis, you'll find the Megillas Taanis. Some Masechtas, some Gemaras have it. But here's what the Brisa says. Ilin Yamayo, following are the days, the loy is nahal behind, you're not allowed to fast on them. Umiktsas hain, and some of them are such strong holidays, the loy mispad behind, that you don't even do a hesped on them. So the Mishnah, we start from Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Reish Chiarcha de Nisan, from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Va'at Manya Bay, until the 8th day of Nisan, itoitim tamida. It became a holiday, an 8-day party that the Tamid was the Tamid. It's called the Tamid party because the Tzedukim was telling everybody that any person can donate the carbon Tamid. It doesn't have to be from the Tzibor, and the Chachamim overpowered them and established that the Tamid has to be brought from collective funds, from the lishka, from the money that you collect, because they had a pasuk that said, the pasuk says, the Tamid is a keves echa taseh baboike. You can make the sheep in the morning, and the Rabbanan said no. As karbani lachmi lishnai tishmeru lahakriv, that lashon rabim hu, that everybody has to chip in for the carbon Tamid. When the Chachamim won that debate, they made an 8-day holiday from the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th, that the loy misped behind. During those days, of course, you're not allowed to fast, but you're not allowed to even make a hesped during the first 8 days of Nisan. The next thing is mitmanya bat soif meyada, from the 8th day of Nisan till Chaf Aleph, till the end of Pesach. Itoisev chaga deshvu aya the loy misped behind. There was another victory that the Chachamim had over the Tzedukim. They called it the Chag of Shavuos. In other words, we've seen this before. The Tzedukim wanted to establish in their reading of the Chumash that Shavuos always should come out on a Sunday, because the Torah says Mimochras HaShabbos, from the after Shabbos, that's when you start counting. So they interpreted it that it's not after the first day of Pesach. You have to wait till the first Shabbos, and then you start counting 50 days. And they had a really beautiful explanation why it should be that way. Why should Hashem make Shavuos always on a Sunday? Look, so he says here, Rashi brings down, because there was one person that explained that Moshe Rabbeinu was Oyev Yisrael Hoya. Rashi says Moshe Rabbeinu loved Jews, and therefore he knew Shavuos is one day, so it's very good. You make Shabbos on Shabbos, and then the next Sunday should be Shavuos. So you'll have 2 days of holiday, one after another. So it makes perfect sense to have Shavuos on a Sunday. And the Chachamim won that argument, and they established that Shavuos is you start counting the 50 days from the day after first day of Pesach. So because the Chachamim won that argument from the 8th day of Nisan, from the 8th day of Nisan till the 8th day of till after the Yom Tov was another holiday. Let's go. The Gemara now goes in detail, and it's very simple. Amamar, we learned before. Bereish Yachad Nisan, from the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Nisan Atmanya Bey until the 8th day Toikim Tamida is a holiday called the Tamid holiday. The Lod Lismid, we don't make a hesped. So the Gemara has asked the question: Lama li Mereish Yacha? Why did they have to make this holiday from Rosh Chodesh? That means that from Rosh Chodesh you couldn't fast and you couldn't make a hesped. Let's say they should have said the holiday begins from the 2nd day of Nisan, because Rosh Chodesh Kufa Yom Tov Hu Vaser. Rosh Chodesh is a day anyway that you're not allowed to fast and you're not allowed to have hesped on that day. So why did they have to make the holiday from the beginning of Rosh Chodesh? It's anyway in Rosh Chodesh. It starts from the 2nd day of Nisan. Amarav to make the day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan Aser, which means that the Twelfth Adar should be Aser, because as of Rosh Chodesh, it's not that we don't Aser the day before. So the Gemara says V'shalfonav Name typically they have a Yom Shlifnei Rosh Chodesh, but the day before should be Aser anyway because it's the day before Rosh Chodesh. The answer is Rosh Chodesh Dairaisahi. Rosh Chodesh is a holiday min HaTorah. And therefore, a holiday min Torah, you don't have to make the day before a mini holiday. It's the holiday itself is enough. Anything that's a holiday midaraisa does not need any strengthening. The Tanya we learned in a brisa. Hayomim ho'ela haksuvim b'Megillas Taanis. All those holidays that are written in this Megillas Taanis, lifneim ulachareim asurim. The day before the holiday and the day after the holiday are also prohibited. Shabbos is v'yom tovim, Shabbos and Yom Tov, and Rosh Chodesh is included, like that. So then, hein asurim. These days, those days, Shabbos you're not allowed to fast, you're not allowed to make a hesped. So those are asurim. V'lifneim v'lachareim. But Friday and Sunday, or the day before the holiday, the day after, mutar are permitted. So, umay hefresh ben zelazeh. What's the difference between a holiday that's written in the Torah and a holiday that's written in Megillas Taanis? And to the Gemara, halol divrei Torah v'divrei Torah ein tzrichen chizuk. These holidays are written in the Torah, and divrei Torah don't need strengthening. You should only prohibit the Isser should only apply on the holiday itself and not the day before. But halali, the holidays that were made up in Megillas Taanis, divrei Soifrim, the Chachamim got together and made them a holiday. The divrei Soifrim tzrichen chizuk, and divrei Soifrim need chizuk, and therefore not only did they make the holiday itself, but they were afraid that if they don't make the day before the holiday a holiday, you're not going to even keep the holiday. So they made the extra day prior to the holiday itself, that day should be also aser for hesped and taanis. So therefore, getting back to the question, why did they establish that the holiday begins on Rosh Chodesh? To make the day before a aser day, the day of Twelfth Adar should be an aser day. Now, Amamar, we learned before. From the 8th day of Nisan till after Yom Tov are days that you can't do hesped or fast. So, lama li at soif mayed. Why does this Megillas Taanis have to say till the end of Pesach that you're not allowed to do hespeds? Of course, lay malay, let it just say ad hamoyed, until Yom Tov was the holiday. And I know already from before that on Pesach, you can't fast anyway. Moed gufa Yom Tov hu v'aser. Moed, the Yom Tov itself of Pesach is a Yom Tov. It's aser. So why do you have to tell me in Megillas Taanis that there was this huge holiday beginning from the 8th of Nisan till the 22nd of Nisan, 21st of Nisan, a holiday of Shavuos, of celebration of the victory of the Chachamim regarding counting of the 50 days. It doesn't have to be such a long holiday. Just make the holiday up till Pesach, and Pesach itself, you cannot fast anyway, or you can't do a hesped because it's a regular yontif midaraisa. Amar Papa says, Kidi Amar Rav, Loi Nitzrucha, we go to the top of page, Yitches, El Yasu Yom Shlefonav. Just like we answered that sometimes these Derabanan holidays gave you not only that the day of the holiday is Asar, but the day before the holiday is Asar. Hachanami, you say the reverse also. Loi Nitzrucha El Esa Yom Shala Achrav. That not only is the holiday itself Asar, but the day after the holiday is Asar. So that's why we made that the holiday includes Pesach, so that the day after Pesach is Asr anyway. Because if it was just the Yontiv of Pesach, the day after Pesach is permitted to fast and permitted to, even though it's Isra Chag, but it's technically permitted to fast or to have a hesped that day. But now that they made it a Megillas Taanis type of holiday, so then the day after Pesach is also Asr. So Gemara asks, come on, who's this opinion? Because not everybody holds that the day after the Megillas Taanis holidays are Asa. Ki Rabbi Yosi, you want to say it goes according to Rabbi Yosi, the Amma who said, Bein lefonov, Bein la'acharav Asa. The day before the Megillas Taanis holiday, Bein la'acharav, whether the day after the Megillas Taanis is Asa. So that what you want to say, that's the opinion that's followed in that brisa. Ihachi. If so, be'esrum v'tisha name, my area do have a yom de mekama yom de mitoikim tamidei. Why did we say the 29th day of Adar is a day Asar? Because it's a day before the beginning of the Tamid holiday, which began on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That's what we said. Typically, the 29th day of Adar is actually a day after another holiday. The Havale Yoima, the Basar Esra Tamya Habe. It's the day after the 28th day of Adar, and 28th day of Adar was another holiday. You see this? If you had this Megillas Taanis, you'd never say Tachnan and Shul. The 28th of Adar was another Taanis. There was another special holiday in Megillas Taanis. So the 29th day of Adar is anyway Asar, because according to Rabbi Yosi, the day after the holiday also remains Asar. Now, what happened on the 28th day of Adar? The Tanya we learned in a brisa, and this this story should sound very, very familiar. We had it in Rosh Hashanah. Be'esrim utanye bay on the 28th day of Adar. Asa besurte taftel Yehudei. A good piece of news came to the Jewish people. The law yi'idim eraisa. They don't have to move away from learning Torah. In other words, it's not against the law to learn Torah. Why? What happened? Shapam Achas, it's like a COVID story. Shapam Achas Gozru Malchus Rasha. The Roman government made a gezerah, Shmad al Yisrael, to get all the Jews to convert. What did they do? They made 3 laws. Shlo ya'aska b'Torah. Nobody is allowed to learn Torah. Number 2 is v'shlo yamulu es b'neihem. You're not allowed to give a bris milah to your children. V'shichalru Shabbos, and Shabbos should be a day of work. You have to desecrate the Shabbos. Basically, those 3 things that separate Jewish people from the Goyim, this is what they made a gzera. Ma asa Yehuda ben Shamua v'chaber. So what did Yehuda ben Shamua and his friends do? In other words, they had to get this gzera nullified. Yehuda ben Shamua is a Talmuder of Meir, so this must be in the year 150, something like that. Halchu v'natlu eitza mimatrenuse achas. They took an advice from one Roman girl, one Roman governess. Shekol g'dolei Romim mitzuyin etzla. All the heads of Rome used to frequent her. You know, she was friendly. She was very well-connected woman, and she had a nice leif tov to the Jewish people. Amru lehem. They said to her Amru lehem. She said to him an advice. Imdu. Get up, v'evginu balayla, and make a hafgana. Hafgana means a protest at night. And at night, you know, it's the protests have more of an effect. Lahavdil, Hitler used to make protests at night before he became to power. V'evginu balayla. Halchu, the Jewish people went, v'evginu balayla, and they made a protest at night, probably outside the Roman House of Government. Amru, they said, Ei lishmayim, oh my God. Aren't we brothers? In other words, the Romans, aren't you brothers? You come from Esav, and we come from Yaakov. Loi b'nei av echad anachnu. Aren't we come from one father? Yitzchak. Loi b'nei em echas anachnu. Don't we come from one mother? Ma nishtanenu mikol umma v'lashoin. Why are we different than any nation, in any language? She'atem goyzru aleim gzeres rois. That you make these terrible edicts against us. In other words, you're not taking away our money, but this is worse than taking away our money. You're taking away our religion, and you're taking away what makes us a nation. So because of this Afghana, I guess they were concerned about public relations. So the Roman government, ubitlam, they nullified the whole treaty. And that day, they made it a yontif. So here ends the question. So the 28th of Adar is anyway a yontif. So the 29th day is also anyway because it's a day after yontif. And so therefore, why did they have to start the following holiday, Rosh Chodesh? And you want to say that the reason why they started Rosh Chodesh to make the 29th day also because it's the day before the next holiday of Tamid. It's anyway also because it's the holiday after, it's the day after the 28th day of Adar. Amar Abaya said, that the only chiddush is that the day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan is not always the 29th day of Adar. Sometimes if Adar is a large month, the day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the 30th day of Adar. And the 30th day of Adar is not the day after the 28th day of Adar, it's actually 2 days later. So the reason why they said that the Karban Tamid holiday begins on Rosh Chodesh Nisan is in order to make, in case Adar was a full month, a 30-day month, that the day before should also be Asar. Ravashi gives another teretz. Even if you will tell me that Adar is always a 29-day month, but the day after is not always like the day of the holiday. Kol shala achrov, any day that comes after a holiday, Megillas Taanis, it's only betanas asur. You're not allowed to fast that day, behesped muta, but you're allowed to have a hesped. So it's a half a holiday. It's a half as powerful. You're not allowed to fast, but you could have a eulogy. But this 29th day of Adar, it's interesting. It's the day after the 28th day of Adar. So it's a day after a holiday, and it's also a day before a holiday, which begins Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So it's a day that has a day after and a day before. Asui kiyamtiv atzmai, they made it like a regular holiday itself. Even a hesped is also asur on the 29th day of Adar. So it has this more strictness of a regular holiday. Not only the holidays, some of the holidays are also Tanis and hesped. The day after a holidays is only also Tanis, and the day before a holiday is also also Tanis. But a day that's sandwiched in between two holidays, like the 29th day of Adar, can have a stringency of a holiday that you're not allowed to even fast and you're not allowed to make a hesped. New Gemara, Amamar, we learned prior. A new thing. From the 8th day of Nisan till after Yontif is another holiday called the Shvuah holiday, that you don't make hespeds on that holiday. Now, when does this one begin? From the 8th day. Wait a second. There was a holiday that began from Rosh Chodesh Nisan that went to the 8th day. So the 8th day overlapped two holidays. Why did this second holiday begin? From the 8th day of Nisan, the Brisa should say, the Brisa should say that it should begin on the 9th day of Nisan, because Utmanya Gufa Asar. The 8th day is Asar anyway, because it's part of the Tamid holiday. Remember, the Tamid holiday started Rosh Chodesh Nisan and went through to the 8th day of Nisan. And the next holiday begins on the 8th day of Nisan and goes through after Pesach. So why does the 8th day overlap two holidays? So the answer is, let's say for some reason, the Chachamim made a fast day and on one of those first 8 days of Nisan. And for whatever reason, something bad happened to the Jewish people and they called it a fast day. So then you can nullify the whole holiday from the 1st to the 8th, because Once a bad thing happened that day, the holiday goes away for entire 8 days, because once one day of the 8 days is a bad day, the whole holiday gets, pushed out the door. So sometimes the 1st to the 8th could be nisbatel. So therefore, the 8th day, Tamanya Gufe also, but the 8th day can remain a holiday because it's part of the next set, which goes till after Pesach. The 8th day will always remain Asr because it's the 8th day, which will be the day before the Yontif of Shvu'aya. So Hashta the Asr Lahachi. Now that you came and told us this new idea that not all these Megillas Taanis holidays were not always set in stone. The way that fortunes of the Jewish people is that sometimes it was established a holiday, and then, 50 years later, something bad happens on that day, and the holiday could go out the door. So that's a good teretz. Now, says the Gemara, Esrim V'Tisha Nami, the 29th day of Adar you wanted to say is always Asar, because it comes the day after the 28th day of the Adar. It's not always true. Even the Ili Mikla Milse Ubatlina Le'Eser Mutmaya. It could happen that many years later, something bad is going to happen on the 28th day of Adar. So the 28th of Adar will be a no more holiday. But the 29th day of Adar will remain a holiday because it's the day before the Tamid holiday, which began on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Esrim V'Tisha Gufei Asar. The Esrim Tisha will always remain Asar because it doesn't post a holiday. It's prior to a holiday. The Havalei Yoime Kama the Itoikim Tamida. It's the day before the Tamid holiday. New Gemara. Itmar we learned. Let's just see this picture over here so you get what's going on. Very simple. In the Megillas Taanis, there are days that are Asr Hesped. These are the strictest. You're not allowed to fast and you're not allowed to Hesped. So there's going to be a 3-way machlokes. Very easy. Rabbi Yossi says not only is the holiday Asr Hesped, but even before the holiday and even the day after the holiday. Rameir is a little lighter. He holds the day before is Asr, the day after is Mutter. And then we're going to see a new Shita. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds the day before and the day after is Mutter. It's just a holiday that's Asr. And let's say you have a day that's only Asr B'Tanis. There, Rabbi Yossi goes one step lighter than what he normally holds. It's Asr only before the holiday and it's Mutter afterward. And Rav Shimon will hold that it's Mutter before the holiday and after, because it's only Asr B'Tanis, not Asr B'Hesped, so it's only a weaker type of holiday. So Rabbi Yossi goes one notch lower. He says only before the holiday is Asr, but afterwards is permitted, the day after. And Rav Shimon holds both are permitted. It's just the holiday is Asr. Let's just read the Gemara. It's very simple. Itma we learn. Rav Chia bar Asi, Rav Chia bar Asi said in the name of Rav, halacha Rabbi Yossi. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, that on a day that's Asr Hesped, it's a very strict holiday. The day before and the day after are Asr. Shmuel says halacha kirameya. The halacha remains like Rameya, that only the day before the holiday is Asr, not the day after the holiday. So the Gemara says, Umish Amar Shmuel Hachi. Did Shmuel say such a thing that the day before the holiday is Asr? We find with Shmuel paskening that the day before is permitted. But Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, why does it say in the Megillas Taanis, there are some days you're not allowed to fast behind, and some days you're not allowed to do not only not allowed to fast, but you're not allowed to do a hesped behind in the holiday. And you see how the Gemara is now medayik, that the words that were written in Megillas Taanis are like Chumash words. You could be medayik on it. You can make it precise. Shtei pamin, two extra words there. It teaches you shehein asurin. Only the day of the holiday is asur, lefneim lachreim mutarim. But the day before the holiday and the day after the holiday is permitted. So, and Shmuel said, halacha Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, that we paskin like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, the day before and the day after the holiday is permitted. So how did he paskin like Rameya that before the holiday is Asr? Answer the Gemara, you see that Shmuel changed his mind. Mi karas savak, even the lake Tana, the Mekel Rav Meir. In the beginning, he never found a Tana that was more lenient than Rav Meir. Omar, he said halacha Rameir, that the halacha is like Rameir, that only that before the holiday is Aser. But Kevin the Shaman Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, when he heard about the opinion of Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, the Mekel Tvei, that is more lenient than Rameir, Omar, he said halacha Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, that the halacha is like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. Okay, so that is the opinion of Shmuel. We pass like Shimon ben Gamliel, not before, not after the holiday is Aser, only the holiday itself. But v'chein Amar Bali is the name of a chacham, somebody. Amar Rab Chiya bar Rava, Amar Rab Yochanan. Here's Rab Yochanan's opinion. Halacha Rab Yosi. The halacha is like Rab Yosi. Now, Amar le Rab Chiya le Bali asber lacha. I'm going to explain you that Rab Yochanan doesn't always paskin like Rab Yosi. Ki Amar Rab Yochanan. When did Rab Yochanan say halacha Rab Yosi? On his opinion, Adoloi is his no. He always holds that on the days that you're now allowed to fast, only those days are also beforehand. And only basically Rabbi Yochanan paskins like Rabbi Yosi that whether it's a hesped day, whether it's a fast day, only before the holiday is also, not after the holiday. Okay, so before the holiday, you paskin that it's Aser. Okay, remember, Rabbi Yochanan holds that before the holidays, written in Megillas Taanis, you're not allowed to fast. So now the Gemara asks a question from Purim. Umi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Did Rabbi Yochanan say such a thing? Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, Halacha Kistam Mishnah. Halacha always follows the anonymous Mishnah. And we're going to find an anonymous Mishnah in Masechta Megillah that says the day before the Purim holiday, you're permitted to fast. Not only the day before, but it's the day before a holiday. The Tanya, now we learned in the Mishnah, that you could lay the Megillah early, and you don't push it off. In other words, the last day to read the Megillah is Twelfth Adar. But sometimes we'll learn the first Mishnah, Masechta Megillah, that sometimes because of certain people who were not around big cities, they only arrived in the big cities on Mondays and Thursdays. So if they came a couple of days before the holiday of Purim, they had a special dispensation that could read the Megillah a day or two earlier. So not only from Yudalit Adar, but they could sometimes read it from Yud Gimel, Yud Beis, Yud Aleph. And those days, the day before them, are Mutarim Behesped Taanis. The day before the holiday, we go to Yud Chesam and Beis, is Mutar Behesped Taanis. Is mutar to fast and to hesped. Only the day of the holiday is aser, but not before. And we explained, Amos, what was the Mishnah talking about? Ilema b'nei chameser, a person who's supposed to read the Megillah on the 15th day of Adar. Let's say you live in Jerusalem, and v'kakara le ba'arbaisa, but you're reading it on the 14th day of Adar. Umi shari, are you allowed to fast on the 14th day of Adar? Megillas Taanis says, Yom Arba also boy, the 14th day of Adar, the Yom Chamish also boy, and the 15th day of Adar, Yom Puraya Ina is the days of Purim, the loy lispa behind you, not allowed to make a hesped in them. So, and certainly on the day of Purim and the day of 15th, certainly you're not allowed to make a hesped in them. But it's teaching you that a guy who is supposed to read it on the Tesvav and reads it on the Yadalit, he's not allowed to, even though it's a day earlier, he's not allowed to fast in that day. So he's not allowed to make a hesped in that day. And you're telling me it's mutter to fast and make a hesped in that day? That cannot be. That what's also on the 15th is also on the 14th. What's also on the 14th is also on the 15th. Ella, what the Brisa is saying, what the Mishnah is saying, B'nei Beiser, you're supposed to read it on the 14th day. And let's say the 14th day is on a Tuesday. And Monday, you come into the city. You're a villager that comes into the city. The kakari lebet laser, and you're reading it on the 13th day. So that day, if you're reading it on the 13th day, then you're mutter behesped taanis. What do you mean? The 13th day of Adar, you're mutter behesped taanis? The Gemara says Yom Nikanarhu. It's a holiday of Niknar, not Purim holiday, but the 13th day of Adar is a Niknar holiday. We're going to discuss that in a minute. What is this Niknar holiday? Ve'ela. So that's not the day. B'nei Beisar, your 14th day of Adar, and you're supposed to read it on the Wednesday. And you're a villager, you come into the city only on Monday, so you're reading it, you're reading it on the 12th day. And the Mishnah says that if you're reading it on the 12th day, on that day, you're mitur behesped of taanis, since you're reading it 2 days earlier. So the Gemara asks, what do you mean? The 12th day is its own holiday. It's not a Purim holiday, but it's Yom Turyanesu. It's the Turyanes holiday. We're going to discuss that in a moment. What my Nikno, my Turyanes. Elalav, what the Mishnah means like this. The Kakarele Chadesar. You're reading it on the 11th day of Adar. How is that possible? Well, let's say the Yud Dalet Adar comes out on a Sunday. You only come to the city on Thursday, the Thursday before. The Thursday before is the 11th day of Adar. So they permitted you to read the Megillah on that day. And if you're reading it on that day, then you're reading the Megillah. Nevertheless, that day is not, you're permitted, the Mishnah says, Gutani mutter behesper v'tanis. You're mutter to have hesper and tanis on that day. Wait a second. According to Rabbi Yochanan, the day before a holiday, you're not allowed to have Hesped and Tanis. This 11th day is always 11th before the 12th day. And you just told me on the 12th day, there's another holiday called the Turyanis holiday. So why would it be that on the 11th day of Adar, you will be permitted with Hesped and Tanis? It comes the day before the 12th, which is a holiday written in Megillas Tanis called the Turyanis holiday. So the Gemara says, no, you misread the Brisa. You misread the Mishnah. Loi, it's not talking about. It's B'nei Arba Osar. It's a 14th day Adar. You're supposed to read it on the 14th day. V'kakorile betresa, and you're reading it on the 12th day. In other words, the 14th day of Adar came out on Wednesday, and you're reading it on the Monday before. So you're reading it early. So, and the Mishnah says you're allowed to fast on the day. Yom Turyanis. So you're telling me it's the holiday of Turyanis. The 12th of Adar is a holiday of Turyanis. And the Mishnah that we have to know that the Turyanis holidays was already nullified. Yom Turyanis Kufay Batuli Batle. It was nullified. They got rid of that holiday. Hoil Vanhergu boy Shmai Vachi Achav. There was a story that Shmaya and his brother got killed on that day. And like I said, if something bad happens to the Jewish people on a particular holiday, they threw out the holiday. It was no more a holiday. So on that day, since it's no more a holiday, that day, the Mishnah says, your mutter behesper and tanis. Although you're reading the Megillah on the 12th day of Adar, your mutter behesper and tanis. Kihad Rav Nachman goza tanisa betresa. He made a fast day on the 12th day of Adar. Amrilei, the Rabbanan said, how could you make a fast day on the 12th day of Adar? It's Yom Turyanis. We opened up the Megillas Tanis and it says it's a holiday that day. You're not going to make a fast day that day. Amalahu Yom Turyanis kufi batule batluhu. They got rid of that holiday. Something bad happened to the Jewish people. Two martyrs, Shmaya and his brother, got killed that day. They got rid of that holiday. Okay, but the 12th day of Adar is not a holiday per se. But at the end of the day, the 13th day of Adar was another holiday called Niknar holiday. So the question is that the 12th day of Adar should always be Asr because it comes the day before the Niknar holiday. It's the day of the holiday before the Niknar holiday. So the 12th day of Adar should always be Asr for fasting because it's the day before another Tainus. The 12th day of Adar, at one time in its life, it was a holiday itself. And that holiday got nullified. It got thrown out the door. Now you want to remake it because it's a day before another holiday. We can't make it a quasi-holiday since it was one time a full holiday and that got nullified. We're not going to make it a quasi-holiday just because it comes the day before the Niknor holiday. Okay, new Gemara, but this is a story and that take us to the end of the parak, and Mitzvah Hashem will finish in a few minutes. The point of it that Gemara just got through saying is that if you open up Megillas Tanis, you're familiar with Yud Dalet Adar is Purim. Tezvav Adar is Purim in Jerusalem. Yud Gimel Adar was a holiday in Megillas Tanis called the Nicanor holiday. And the 12th day of Adar was the Turyanis holiday. So now that we brought up that the 12th day and the 13th day of Adar had special holidays, the Gemara says, what was the story? The Tanya, we learned in a Brisa. And this has to do with Hanukkah, so it all comes down. Okay, so this is the 13th day of Adar. What happened that day in the Jewish people? Niknor echan mi aparche Yavanim haya. Niknor was a Nik, we call him Nick. He was one of the leaders of the Greeks. Of the Chol Yom v'Yom, every day, Hoyamein Yodei al Yehuda v'Yerushalayim, he would raise his hands against the Yehuda and Jerusalem And v'omer, and he would announce, say tipa biyadi, when will these people fall into my hands? The ermesena, I'm going to crush them, all the Jews. Ukishagarvo malchus beis Chashmonai, when the Chashmonaim overpowered them, v'nitzchem, and they won the war against this Nikki. Kitzusu, they did the cruel thing. While he was alive, Kitzusu, behinis yada v'raglav, they cut his thumbs and feet off, utloyim b'shari Yishlayim, and they hung his fingers and his toes on the door entranceway to Jerusalem. V'amru, and they made an announcement. The mouth that spoke with haughtiness. V'yadayim she'menifes al Yerushalayim, and the hands that they were lifted its hands against Jerusalem. And of course, he wanted to crush the Jerusalem with his feet. Tiasabem Nakama, we just did revenge against him. They probably also cut off his head also because he used his mouth to talk. So that's the story of Niknar. My Tuyonis. What's the story of the Tuyonis? Remember, we said there was a holiday written in Megillas Taanis called the Tuyonis holiday. So the Gemara said that happened on the 12th of Adar. Amru, Kishabikesh Tuyonis laharages lunyas upapas ache belutke. Tuyonis was a Roman, let's say Roman emperor or whatever he was, and his daughter got killed, and of course he blamed the Jews. So he wanted to kill out all the Jews in that city, in Lutkia. So, and he said, so what happened was, Lunyanis Upapis, his brother, stepped forth and said, we killed your daughter. Don't kill all the Jews in the city. We're the ones that killed your daughter. Of course, they didn't do it, but they were trying to save the city. Amru Lehem, Omar Lehem, Sir Tiana said, okay, he's about to kill them. He said, he knew probably that they didn't do it, but this was a way to save face. If you're so as holy as Chananya, Mishal ve'Azariah, who we read in Tanakh, they were thrown into a fire and they were saved. Let your God come and save you from my hand. The way he saved Chananya, Mishal ve'Azariah, from the hands of Nebuchadnezzar. So they told him, a fascinating statement they told him. Chananya, Mishael, ve'Azariah, tzadikim gemur haya. Chananya, Mishael, ve'Azariah were great tzadikim. Therefore, even though they were thrown into fire, God saved them. Uru'uyin hey haya leyasis lehem nes. They had enough merits for them. They were tzadikim enough that a miracle should happen on their behalf. And not only that, it's unbelievable. But Nebuchadnezzar, the great Rasha, at least he had some moral standard that when he saw a miracle, he took a step back and praised God. It's worth it to make a miracle that he should witness. But Rasha, but you, this Rasha, you Trianis, Hedyetu, you're just a plain nothing. And you're not worthy to witness a miracle. But and they were makabel on themselves. They accepted themselves what Hashem wanted. And he said, God wants to kill us. And we know for a fact, if you're not going to kill us, God can kill us in many different ways. God has many dubin are beers and arayas lines. That could attack us, that could kill us. It's not necessarily you that is killing us. God wants us to be dead, whether it's going to be by you or whether by somebody else. Ella, why are you getting the choice to kill us? Because God's going to revenge our blood from your hand. Alpha became Haragam Yad. Turianis killed them right away. Amro, the end of the story was like Zazu Masham. They didn't move from there. Achaboy, do you remains two officers from Rome? They smashed this Turianis head with Gizrin. So when they made a holiday because they witnessed the Nakama and revenge against this Russia called Turianis. One more piece, and that's the end. If you started fasting, if they for some reason they made a series of fasts, the Chachamim, and in the middle of the series of fasts, Monday, Thursday, Monday, one Monday turns out to be Rosh Chodesh. So you continue, you start, and you fast on that Rosh Chodesh, even though normally you're not allowed to fast on Rosh Chodesh, but since they were Geyser Tanis and it's part of a series, So then you continue fast on Rosh Chodesh. What is called that you started the series? Obviously, you can't make the first fast on Rosh Chodesh, but if it's part of the series, then you can continue fasting Rosh Chodesh. You have to have 3 fasts that passed already. Then you're in the series of fasts. Then if Rosh Chodesh comes out, let's say number 4, you would fast on Rosh Chodesh. If just one fast happened, so the fast number 2 comes out on Rosh Chodesh, then you'll fast on Rosh Chodesh also. And we learned in the Mishnah that although you fast on Rosh Chodesh, you didn't finish the fast. You probably fasted till the afternoon, and then you ate. That was the opinion of Rameya, who said in the name of Rabbi Gamliel. Even though you're fasting and it's Rosh Chodesh, Mis'ana, you fast, Mashlim, you complete the fast on Rosh Chodesh. The halacha remains, Mis'ana, you fast on Rosh Chodesh, Mashlim, you complete the fast, even though it's Rosh Chodesh. Hadron say the Taanis Ketzad. So therefore, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we'll continue this. It gets a lot of stories coming in, a lot of Garat Gemara coming up.
Wonderful. Thank you, bro.
So you see how we learned? Yeah. A lot Hanukkah came up. Yeah.
Freilich Hanukkah.
Freilich and Hanukkah, everybody.
Freilich and Hanukkah, Baruch.
Hanukkah, ja, Shikoya. Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht. Alle Jeden.